Hello, and welcome back to the SCP series, where I tell you about 5 different SCPs each video. We are currently talking about Safe Class SCPs. Now before this video starts, I must put a disclaimer, where I will be reading each SCP's description directly from the SCP Wiki. None of the information that I will be telling you is of my own writing. I must also warn that today one of the SCPs I will be talking about will get graphic, so viewer discretion is advised. With all that said, let's get right into it.
SCP-098 is a species of previously unknown crustacean. They resemble crabs, but rather than chela, the front limbs terminate in knife-like structures that incorporate silica to form an extremely sharp edge. Specimens reach larger size than normal for land-dwelling arthropods, at 47 meters tall and as large as 60 centimeters across. Specimens of SCP-098 prefer an environment with ready concealment and shallow pools of water. They are able to breathe both water and air, splitting their time between the two environments. They are also capable of vocalizations, using a larynx-like structure attached to primitive lungs. SCP-098 demonstrates pack hunting behavior when attacking prey. When specimens detect a prey animal, they will attempt to surround it. They will mimic the sounds made by the creature, apparently to confuse it or to draw it into position. When ready, one specimen will approach the prey animal. When its attention is fixed on the first specimen, others will move behind the prey and attempt to cut the tendons of the legs or other limbs. They will continue to mimic the sounds the prey animal makes to disorient it. After making a cut, a specimen of SCP-098 will spit a vicious mucus over the wound. This substance hardens rapidly, preventing blood loss or infection. This continues until the prey animal is completely immobilized. At this point, specimens will begin to feed on the prey animal by cutting off small pieces of flesh. This begins with soft, readily accessible tissue, such as those of the face and extremities, before moving to other parts of the body. Specimens of SCP-098 will only feed so long as the prey animal is capable of respiration. Feeding can last several hours or several days, depending on the size of the prey animal and the number of specimens present. Specimens of SCP-098 show some ability to communicate, alerting each other to the presence of threats or potential food over short distances. It was initially thought that SCP-098 might display human-level intelligence, but are now believed to merely parrot human speech. SCP-098 normally poses little threat to adult humans, preferring smaller prey, such as dogs, cats, and small pigs. However, they have attacked larger prey when a sufficient number of specimens were present, or else other food was unavailable. SCP-098 was discovered in Brazil after a rash of child disappearances. SCP-912 consists of several items of police-issue body armor, clothing, and equipment that together form a discrete entity capable of independent movement and action. Both the method by which this ability has been acquired and means by which it is achieved have yet to be identified. The elements that comprise SCP-912 conform to the standards of uniform worn by the PD SWAT as of 2000. Uniform elements float in midair as though worn by a man or woman around 185 centimeters or 6'1" in height, but no such presence can be detected. SCP-912 does not directly respond to communication attempts, but will follow simple orders in English given by personnel wearing the uniform of an officer of the PD. In its default state, SCP-912 has been assessed to pose no hazard to health, security, or risk of escape when handled to accordance with SCP-912-002-A and SCP-912-002-B. If given the command arrest subject by a person wearing the uniform of the PD, or in the event that SCP-912 detects an armed individual or individuals within its visual radius, it will commence arrest behavior. SCP-912 will attempt to disarm and restrain the subject upon the ground, then secure their arms behind their back using a pair of plastic cuffs. The force used in the process of this arrest greatly exceeds PD SWAT guidelines and statutory procedures. SCP-912 frequently inflicts injury to the neck, shoulder, and arms of the arrested individual due to apparent unawareness or indifference to the mechanical limitations of human anatomy. Resistance on behalf of the individual being arrested causes a corresponding increase in force until cessation. SCP-912 will attack should it detect threatening or hostile behavior towards itself or an individual wearing the uniform of the PD. SCP-912 deploys its telescopic steel baton and approaches the nearest armed subject at an average speed of 5 km an hour. If the armed subject drops the weapon and ceases threatening behavior before SCP-912 moves into combat range, the normal arrest procedure will be initiated. If the subject initiates hostile action or is still holding the weapon when SCP-912 enters combat range, SCP-912 will strike powerful blows at the head and upper arms of the subject for up to a minute after the subject loses consciousness. Once all armed subjects are subdued, arrest behavior proceeds as normal. SCP-912 only permits an individual it has arrested to be removed from its presence by a person wearing the uniform of the PD. An individual wearing the appropriate uniform is not detained by SCP-912, regardless of armament, except where physical aggression is shown towards another subject wearing PD uniform. SCP-912 does not react to hostile actions by PD uniformed personnel towards non-uniformed victims and does not react to hostile actions between unarmed individuals not wearing PD uniform, regardless of injuries sustained. In appearance, SCP-005 resembles an ornate key, displaying the characteristics of a typical mass-produced key in the 1920s. The key was discovered when a civilian used it to infiltrate a high-security facility. SCP-005 seems to have the unique ability to open any and all forms of lock, be they mechanical or digital, with relative ease. The origin of this ability has yet to be determined. SCP-005 may be used as a replacement for lost security passes, but only under the supervision of at least one Level 4 personnel. SCP-005 may not be used for vending machine repairs, opening lockers, or for any personnel's spare home key. Removal of the object from the compound will result in immediate termination. While SCP-005 has been shown to be effective in removing almost any form of locking device, further experiments have shown that efforts to disguise the purpose or identity of a lock have proven at least somewhat successful in defeating SCP-005's ability. In approximately 50% of cases where a volunteer was not able to identify a lock device as such, SCP-005 was not successful in deactivating the device. SCP-005 has tentatively classified as sentient, and further tests are being run to determine its cognitive abilities. SCP-1032 appears to be a typical ripe apple weighing 112 grams. The color of the object is a uniform pastel red with darker vertical strokes. On one side there is a yellowish spot with blurred edges. Object retrieved by Foundation on 19, but has shown no signs of decay to date. After receiving damage of any strength and nature, the object is fully restored within a few seconds. The pattern and the amounts of time required for recovery has not been established. A feature of SCP-1032 is its effect on a subject who makes physical contact with it. The subject, in addition to his own sensations, begins to feel everything that the apple feels: the touch of other objects, temperature changes, and other things related to touch. Subject also senses in the area where SCP-1032 is located, which is beyond normal human sensory capabilities. The effect ends shortly after the termination of physical contact with the subject. SCP-1025 is a hardcover book approximately 1,500 pages long. The front cover and spine features the title, The Encyclopedia of Common Diseases. The publisher's page indicates the book was printed in 19 by Press. No other copies of a book with that title and publisher have ever been found, and no record of the publisher exists. Readers of the book seem to exhibit symptoms of any disease they read about. The effect can take between and hours to manifest.
This concludes today's documentation. I apologize if you had a hard time understanding what I was saying because of any stuttering or word jumble. If I've missed any information or have gotten something wrong, please comment down below and share your thoughts. Until next time, my friends, stay safe.